Hey there, guys, it's Metro, and today we are taking a look at Blood Death Knight soloing on the Legion beta. A few things first before we get started here. Try to ignore the webcam thing. All right, you don't want to know. I was streaming at the time, and I didn't expect to get what I got done here while I was streaming, and it's just a bit too tedious to go back and re-record it. So we just took the live stream footage directly. We're going to talk about it. Now, the second thing is that I sped it up extremely fast, all right, just so we're on the same page here. This is by no means in any way efficient, process of gearing, nothing like that. But I am soloing a normal 5-man. I am 110, 822 item level Blood Death Knight, and I am soloing a normal 5-man, the Legion beta, guys. So obviously there's some grave repercussions of this, but the reason I made this video was because a couple people, I made the previous video, hopefully you guys have all seen that by now, about which tank I feel is best for which situation, and people asked like, oh, I was hoping to hear a little bit about soloing, and I was like, I never thought about this, so I tried this as Demon Hunter and as Monk, and it's just not, it's not going to happen with those classes, unfortunately. I really thought Demon Hunter was going to be the one because they can do a lot of burst damage, but Blood is just unkillable, really, if you have your CDs up. So I do have to wait for CDs a lot, but there's the talents there in case you want to check them out. Some talents I would definitely change at this point. In fact, I do change them in the course of the dungeon. But either way, let's talk about it. So I am really surprised by this. Really, what you do here is just now. There's a couple caveats here. I do have the one of the golden traits for the artifact is really important for this. All right. Basically, you pop all your CDs with that golden trait. It puts a massive absorb on you afterwards. The more mobs you fight, this is basically how Blood goes, guys. The more things you fight, the more healing and absorbing you can do. So, like exponentially, not just, because there's more things. So if you fight 5 to 6 mobs and you pop everything, you're going to have like a 2 million plus absorb on you, which currently I have 2.2 million health. So, pretty insane. But either way, the point of this is that it is indeed possible. All right. And like I said, only 822. Honestly, I would not even consider that acceptable for Mythic 5-man. Just regular Mythic as well, not Mythic +1 or anything like that. So that really kind of says something about the spec and this class. I think this illustrates the points I was trying to make about their self-healing and reduction and their reduction through healing kind of thing. Because I don't really have any way to reduce damage, but when you heal it up so often, it's almost like it's been reduced, That's why they're so good in progression. And of course, their damage is nothing to sneeze at either. I find them weak in single target, but in AoE situations, they are very, very good. So I tried a few dungeons. This was really the only one that I was able to get, significant progress in. I killed 3 bosses in it, and I'm going to show you those 3 bosses. I cannot kill the Hydra boss here because the ads, if there's somebody not attacking them and interrupting them and stuff, they just do way too much damage. And then, of course, because I can't kill that boss, I can't kill the final boss. I've tried a few other dungeons to kind of mixed results. Usually, it seems like the first boss in a dungeon is always kind of a blocker, but especially since in this dungeon you can do any of these 4 bosses first, I knew that this was going to be one that I had results on. So, it's pretty interesting, but I'm actually really excited about this because I don't know, I like this. I know not a lot of people don't like this, but it's really interesting because the fact that you can solo these, and now these are normal dungeons, so let's talk about that a bit too. Normal dungeons no longer, they scale up to you. They're no longer like, this is not like a level 104 dungeon, you know what I mean? I'm doing a level 110 dungeon, a dungeon made for 110s, and I'm really only 20 or so item level higher than the gear it is meant to come. And not and like barely, that's like a Warforged and all that. So I've gotten Warforged 810 pieces and stuff. So this is not this is not this overgeared. If I was like 850 like some people are on the beta, I could probably do heroic as Blood. And the only thing stopping me is my damage. Like there are some bosses that simply can't be killed by one player because I don't do enough damage, and they just the mistakes compound and the mechanics kind of just exponentiate the troubles that you have. But in general, I'm really surprised by this. Now you're gonna see this boss, right? This is definitely a really good example. It's dicey, man. It's dicey. It's not easy. I'm barely keeping myself alive here. In fact, look how almost dead. I'm so almost dead. It's unbelievable. But then Vamp Blood comes up and it's just GG, man. It's such a good CD for soloing. It's unbelievable, especially with the synergy that I told you about. Oh, it's just so good, man. Get that golden tray first, and you're gonna be so unkillable in 5-man. It's unreal. They're just so freaking good at 5-mans. It's crazy. But so you'll see this throughout the dungeon. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, of course, is some other soloing I tried to do. When people told me about soloing, I was like immediately expecting to think about soloing raids. I don't think about soloing current content as something that anybody would ever really spend too much time on. Like I said, I could have easily queued up for this dungeon and got it done in fucking half. What the hell? I could have done this place 10 times in the time it took me to do those 3 bosses. It took me over 2 hours to do those 3 bosses, okay? But a lot of that was just waiting for CDs. Anyway, so you're going to solo raids, solo them for transmog, maybe rare mounts, pets, etc. What's going to be possible? So I've tried them all now. Everything that people either struggled to solo with or couldn't solo before, I have soloed. So basically, every mop dungeon, every mop raid is now very doable. Heroic 25 is still quite dicey. Once again, just lack of damage, but almost nothing in mop actually deals any damage. It's like pretty much unkillable. Like you're unkillable. I did it as Demon Hunter too, and it was very, very good. I was able to kill everything very quickly and take almost no damage. So basically, at mop level, I would say anybody can solo anything. All right, damage and damaging specs included. It doesn't have to be a tank. Doesn't have to be a blood DK. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can solo anything at mop that you want. Probably even 25 heroic, as long as you're geared and you have some consumables, maybe like a health pot or even a flask to kind of make things go faster. So after that, so just a caveat though, there are some things that cannot be soloed because of mechanics, all right? And this includes Siege of Orgrimmar, right? You cannot solo it because Gallicrass is requiring 2 players no matter what, all right? You have to have a second player to go up in the cannon and shoot down Gallicrass. If you do not, you cannot complete the encounter no matter what. So unless they change that at some point in Legion, it is impossible. Also, I think this is impossible as well, but I've seen people talk about it not being. Norushin is also, we found to be impossible. Or no. Shaw of Pride, that's what it was. Shaw of Pride we found to be impossible because you get picked for there's prisons on that encounter, if you guys recall, and you can't break yourself out of it. So I don't know, maybe you could use a pet or something. I'm not sure if it's possible like that, but as a tank class, you don't have a pet, so it seems impossible to do that as well. But if it wasn't for those mechanics, you would be able to solo it very easily. So then we move on to WoD, which is the previous expansion. I tried Highmaul Heroic first, and it was quite a challenge. I tried it as a Demon Hunter. I did not try it as Blood. But either way, the big issue was the Butcher, all right? The Butcher is another fight that is almost at least very, very, very difficult to solo as these classes, because when he does 6 stacks of a mechanic, you die, 100% die. There's no way to survive it. So yeah, even Cheat Death, it doesn't proc for Demon Hunter, etc. I tried that. Purgatory, etc. It does not proc. So I don't think it's possible to kill the Butcher, but I don't think you even need to. I went all the way to Twin Ogron and then just kind of got bored because I felt like there was no point in doing it. There was literally no point in doing it. By the way, you get 8 gold from the fucking raids. And it seems like, I guess personal loot is on by default now in all raids. Like if you're not in a raid group and you can't change the loot setting, it's always personal. So most bosses, I did not even get loot off. Now this is a bit of a fucking pain in the ass because this means if I was trying to get transmog, I couldn't, there was bosses that literally did not, most of them actually for some reason did not drop loot. So I don't know, maybe I should make a thread about this, but either way, yeah, not too happy about that. 8 gold and no loot whatsoever makes me not too satisfied. But I was able to do Highmaul, Foundry the same way, normal. But Heroic seems a bit too much. Don't forget, normal, Heroic, Mythic in WoD. It was not this way in the previous expansion. So when I was talking about Heroic TOT, I was actually talking about the highest level, which would be comparable to Mythic now. So in WoD, I was able to solo everything in normal. I was able to solo Siege of Orgrimmar as well. Or Hellfire Citadel is the name of that place, not Siege. So yeah, I was able to solo Hellfire Citadel. I went in. First boss was a bit wacky because nothing does damage, but they attack the cannons. Hellfire Assault, you have to stop them from killing the cannons. So there is a lot of running. It's literally just run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth constantly. And this was easy as a Demon Hunter. I did this on a Demon Hunter. It was pretty good. Second boss, Chromach, joke bosses. Now, unfortunately, the 4th boss is not a joke, meaning the council boss. I'm not even sure what they're called. But anyway, it's the council boss. These guys are tough because the chick, whatever, I don't even know, some chick, right? She's a chick orc. She tries to come over to the group, and when she tries to come over to the group, it immunes the other group. So my first inclination was to kill her, But then the Reap is on you for good, and that debuff actually does a lot of damage. And we were trying it even with Cloak. Hamder was trying it as a raid, or as a rogue, I mean, in the raid. He couldn't cloak it off. We couldn't get the debuff off in any way with any of our attempts. So it does seem like that is not going to be viable. So the strategy I had to employ was to just basically attack Dia when she was next to us, but otherwise attack Jubei and whatever the other dude's name is, big red orc dude, when she wasn't. Because when she's not a aberration looking thing, she just stays put. So you can move the mobs away from her while she casts on you, and then you can kill them. So it was a very long fight, and I did wipe a couple times to it because it's just like, it's really complicated. Like, you have to make sure that you have Jubei low enough so when Dia dies, you have that Reap on you for the end of the fight, So it's either kill Jubei. I don't know. It's just a mess. It really is just a mess. There's a few options, but either way, it's not easy. And it's just because of the mechanics, once again. Chromok was a joke. No problems there. Everything else is a joke. But unfortunately, you cannot kill Gorefiend. Cannot be killed, okay? So another example here where mechanics make it impossible. You literally cannot do Gorefiend because he sends you down into the other realm, and when you go down there, the fight resets. It's just not possible. Like, literally, one person cannot do Gorefiend. So I don't even think two can do Gorefiend. I'm not sure what the minimum would be, but I really hope that they change that. So yeah, here's just back to this footage here. Back to me fighting this Hydra thing, and it's gonna kill me. It's just like this mechanic is actually really complicated because I'm not doing enough damage to push him fast enough. He's like filling the whole area with these things that go under your feet. So what I would need to have done was kind of just really conserve space with them, using a CD like AMS or something like that to place them all on top of each other. But I cannot kill the boss because when the heads come out, you're gonna see how much damage I take in just 5 to 6 seconds. So yeah, not possible. But anyway, so back to soloing stuff. So like I said, basically anything through Mop, easily done by any class. Anything through WAD, probably done by any tank. I would be... Hamder tried it as a rogue, like I said. I don't know. He said he did well, but he just... Yeah, anything that actually dealt damage was that was it. It just dealt too much damage for him. Tanks, are good at soloing because they could survive any mechanic usually. So that's the issue there. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it anyway because, like I said, you're dropping 8 gold and no loot, and especially because, there's literally no point to it. It's just a waste of your time. You can't solo Mythic, so you're not going to be able to get the mounts. But that's kind of what people are asking for. They want to see soloing stuff. So yeah, like I said, I would definitely say Blood DK is once again the gods of soloing. I was really surprised by this. Actually, I really thought Monk was going to be better. I really thought Demon Hunter was going to be better, but unfortunately they're just really weak. They're good at tanking in general when a healer is present, but the tanking model has really shifted, guys, towards a model where your active mitigation is a lot weaker. So this means anytime you could so think about it this way, right? Your active mitigation is 1 global. It prevents, say, 5% of your health loss. But you also have a heal that is 1 global that adds 5% of your health. So when your active mitigation can't scale, no matter what you do, you're always going to reduce a certain percentage of it based on your stats. But your heals can as a Death Knight, right? Because the more healing, healing is not only present from a single ability, it's present from multiple abilities. So when all of these exponentiate, then you're left in a situation where you could solo heal yourself. You don't need a healer. Okay. Now this changes, of course, based on gear and based on what you're doing. I'm doing normal 5-man, like I said, so nothing in here is exceptionally challenging. But it's the point that I can heal myself to full. Like, I'm able to do 60k HPS, guys. Do you understand that? 60k HPS as a tank. You know what I mean? And I'm only healing myself, whereas a healer can do, say, 100k HPS, but that's because they're healing everyone. So these are things to keep in mind here when you're picking tanks. I'm telling you right now, man, DK is going to be nuts. Vengeance can do a lot of healing too. So these are things to really put in the back of your head. But when you're in a situation where nothing can kill you and you're literally just healing yourself to full every few globals, it's just, you're that much stronger, Actually reducing the damage is one thing, but then you're still relying on the player, behind the healing spec to actually heal you. As a warrior, a paladin, you have these insane reductions. Bear too, but they're not going to keep you alive. You'll eventually run out of health if you can't also heal yourself. So that's the difference. When you could actually raise your health or reduce damage, I always find healing is more efficient because First of all, like I said, you have to rely less on a third party, and then, second party really. But then, of course, you have to rely more on yourself. And I like to be able to dictate my own success. I don't want to say, well, I can't do this because I don't have a healer, or I can't do this because something else. I want to say I can't do this because I cannot play to the level that it would require, and it is simply not tuned to me doing this. But yeah, that's pretty much everything, guys. So I don't know if you have any questions. Let me know. Like I said, this is really just showing off. Really, you guys asked for it. There was a couple of you who wanted to know about soloing stuff. So here I am, guys. Once again, just to make 100% clear on this, I am 110 soloing 110 content. It is, of course, normal content, which I outgear by about 15 to 20 item level. It is not even that high. Honestly, like I said, you're going to get way higher gear. Like by the end of this expansion, you're going to be able to solo this. This is the kind of the sad part here, actually. By the end of this expansion, I'm going to be doing so much damage that I'm probably going to be able to kill these bosses in like 10 globals. They take a long time to kill, guys. It's like a 10-minute kill right now. But if I actually dealt real damage, this would be the easiest thing in the world. And I would be able to solo normals. I would be able to solo heroics. I'd be able to solo everything in the game from that perspective. And just like it is on live now, guys, if you've done, if you're 744 or whatever, and you go into a mythic 5-man now as a tank, you can pretty much solo it. It would take a lot of effort, but it would definitely be possible. And I have soloed every heroic. A friend of mine came back to the game. She hadn't played in a while, and she wanted to see all the 5-mans. But, I hate playing with these idiots. I don't even want to deal with them. And I also said, like, if we go 2-man them, it'll be a lot more fun. You'll be able to actually see the fights, how they're meant to be done. So, we had to do some mechanics, and it was actually a lot of fun doing it that way. So I think soloing is something that I can get into, actually. I think I could enjoy it. I think it's something that is relaxing in some ways, and it kind of allows you to push your character to another level. So, I understand why people do it. But anyway, that's everything. If you guys have any further questions about soloing or about tanks or anything like that, let me know. I have a few more ideas for videos, but at this point I'm kind of running out, so kind of grasping at anything you guys want to see, I'll make a video on for Legion Beta. But otherwise, we are now 5 resets away from the actual expansion's launch. So yeah, coming up very quick, guys.